Welcome to my garden on a Sunday afternoon. It's so pretty today. There's a little breeze blowing. It's the first day of June. I know the hot weather's coming. It's a little sticky out, but the breeze makes it feel nice. But today, I want to talk to you about something that is a major pest. And if you haven't dealt with these yet, I hope you never do, but I have on different levels. And what I'm talking about is the carpenter bee. And I'm going to show you a carpenter bee. Luckily, this one is no longer alive, but this is what it looks like. It's very much like a bumblebee. I thought there was another one over there. It's got a little yellow fuzz on the top. He's probably twice the size of a bumblebee. All right, I'm gonna lay him down. So I want to tell you about this creature. I would say little creature, but it's not a little creature, and it can do major damage. Wouldn't it be wonderful? And I know there's going to be those of you that say, oh, but they're such good pollinators for the garden and this and that. If that's what they did, it would be great if they just pollinated the garden. However, they don't just pollinate the garden. This little creature, big creature, will wreak havoc. And stay tuned because I'm going to show you the damage, like major damage. When Leonard and I had bought this place, the carpenter bees were here. And as we remodeled, they were in the fascia board of the house. And of course, we had everything repainted, and we put gutters up along the front. And he said, you know, that'll take care of them. My suggestion was, let's just replace that board, and that gets rid of them. And he says, well, when we paint, then, you know, they won't be able to penetrate through that. That is not true. Let me just be here to tell you, it doesn't matter if you have a painted place. If it's wood, these little creatures can find a way to get through. So since then, they continued to get in that fascia board. And about 3, maybe 4 years ago, they got so bad. I remember one day my daughter-in-law and I were out on the front porch, and we couldn't even stand there and have conversation because they were just like almost swarming, but they were going up into the fascia board of the house. Now, they don't sting, they're not aggressive, but what they can do, like they can just destroy. If you have a beautiful, anything wood on your home, a wooden structure outside, a shop, a she shed or a he shed, they can find their way in, and they are very destructive. As I sit in my garden, this is where I really get agitated. I don't like it that they got in the house. Not in the house, but in the fascia board. And I will say about that, I contacted an exterminator. And he came. He was very respectful of my honeybees because I said, I have honeybees, so I don't want anything sprayed that would harm them. So what he did is he put, if I understand correctly, a powder into each hole that he could find, both on the house fascia board as well as on the shop. And then he lightly sprayed some kind of a liquid so that when the bee went in, it would get wet and then would go in, and this powder would take care of them. It took 3 springs to take care of the bees. This is the first year that I did not have to have him come and spray. I did see 1 or 2, which that's all it takes is 1 or 2. And, you know, then as bees do, they multiply. So I'll have to watch it again next year. But now out to the garden. So I worked really hard last year trying to build my little dream garden. And it's very hard. I did it basically by myself. You know, Leonard has passed away. I did have the help of 3 of my grandchildren on different phases of it, which was wonderful. But one of my little dreams was to have a grape arbor, which I am sitting on the bench underneath this grape arbor. One day, and it was late, I think it was late winter, maybe early spring, as I sat out here in the coolness of the day and just enjoying the garden, my time alone with God, it's just such a peaceful place. I heard it, that buzzing, and I knew what it was. And I'm just about to show you what it is. So hold on just a minute and let me show you. This is the beautiful grape arbor that I designed and built, and my dream is that I would plant grapes on either side of the garden, of the arbor. They will grow and grow up. I've got to learn how to prune them and train them, but for them to grow up over the top and to give a shade to my little bench that sits underneath. And I just think it would be not only beautiful and a comfortable place protected from the sun, but with the grapevines growing up, it would also provide food. So as I sit on my lovely bench that day in the early spring, I look up and I see these holes. You see them? So this one here, yes, on this side, this one is where the bee makes this perfectly beautiful round hole. Now, what I did not realize until today, look at the size of this hole and the beginnings of this hole. And then over to the other side, we have this hole that the bee did not make, but underneath this hole that is perfectly round that the bee made, and to the side there. So what you see up there is how the bee started. I am going to show you what these bees will do if you don't take care of them. You can say what you want about them pollinating and, oh, they're just a beautiful creature of God's or whatever. I agree with all that, but who has the money to continue to replace things that these bees destroy? Let me just tell you a little about the bee. So these bees drill that perfectly little round hole. They go in there. She makes a tunnel. She lays her eggs in this little tunnel, goes all the way to the back of wherever she makes her tunnel, and then she lays her egg. She's a carpenter bee, she builds a wall. And then she lays another egg, and she builds another wall. She's pretty smart. She continues that process, I guess, the whole length of her little tunnel. And so if we then try to go in and spray or, to get rid of them, those walls that she has built, keep it from penetrating on down through the tunnel. Hence why I probably had to have it sprayed 3 different times. So then what happens, of course, those little eggs become larvae. And then, if you know what a pileated woodpecker is, another beautiful creation of God's, a beautiful bird. I will try to show you a picture of what a pileated woodpecker looks like. All right, so let's move along. Then what happens is this woodpecker loves larvae. That's, I guess, one of its delicacies. And now I'm going to show you, if you don't take care of these carpenter bees, I'm going to show you what will happen. So as I built my dream garden, there was a fence along one side of the garden, which my garden is all fenced in. And there was a fence that we grew green beans on. The previous owner had built this fence. Well, I tore that fence down because I needed to expand the space. Well, I left 2 of those posts. I want you to look at this post all the way down. Let me just come in the front and show you. These holes started with a little tiny hole that the bee made to lay her eggs. And then the woodpecker came. I'm talking destroyed this post. The holes are tremendous, and you can see where the woodpecker just ate right away, and it goes all the way around. There's one. Look at that. I venture to say there are no more bee larvae in this post. And not only that post, but there's another one that I left down here that I put little bird houses on the top, which are really cute. But just look at what the bee started and the pileated woodpecker finished. So it is amazing what they can do. And if you have a carpenter bee, don't mistake it for a honeybee, not a honeybee, but a bumblebee. They look very much like a bumblebee, but a bumblebee is like very tiny compared to these carpenter bees. And if you see one or two, you better get right on it and take care of them, or they will destroy. My grape arbor back there, I don't want them to destroy it because I don't want to have to rebuild it. Don't let the carpenter bee tear down your beautiful wooden structures outside your garden shed, your shop, your home, because they will if you don't take care of it. So this is just my little tip for the day, and I hope that you don't have problems with these, but I'm just saying, if you do, beware. I'm going to show you one of the things that I have found that seems to be working to take care of these carpenter bees. I found this little, it's called bestbeebrothers.com, and it looks like a birdhouse, but it has these tiny little holes there and on the side, I think on the other side as well. Yep. That the bees can go up in, and once they get in there, they can't escape. And of course, then they die without food or resources or whatever. You can see them in this little window, and what I have found is first you need to capture one. It can be a dead bee, and you put it in there, and its scent will attract the other bees in there. And I haven't actually seen any more of the bees when I've been out here working in the garden. So that's another way to try to take care of them. There's all kind of little traps that you can get for them, but I'm telling you, don't let these bees get out of hand. Well, there you have it. I really appreciate you joining me on this video, and I hope that you've learned a few tips or ideas or warnings about the carpenter bee, because they're a very big pest in and or around our homes and wooden structures. So also, if you have ways that you deal with the carpenter bee, be sure to comment in the section below and just let me know. That helps me. We learn from each other, and I would love to know what you do to deal with them as well. And also, if you haven't subscribe to my channel, I would just love it if you would. We stay connected that way, and my videos are all about everything on Grandma's Home Place. There's, when we take care of our home and properties and gardens, there's a lot of things to do, and we learn from each other. So thank you again for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.